You are tuned into the Power Chord Hour right here on 1079 WRFA, and also maybe listening on the Power Chord Hour podcast. Whatever, thank you so much for checking out this episode and joining me on this one. We got Matty of Halifax band Cluttered. We got Chris of Toronto band Talk Show Host. They have switched bands for a brand new split EP. They're covering Enemy You songs with each other's bands. The new split, Enemy Us, a very fitting title. Great title for a split of Enemy You songs. And we're going to talk about the split, and we're going to talk about the ones who sing all over this thing. Chris, Matty, how are you today?
Pretty good. Good, yeah. I worked all day and kind of forgot that this was happening, and then got a really friendly reminder, and I was like, "Oh, I have to talk."
Oh, damn. Well, we'll keep it light. I forgot you were working as well.
No, this is great. It's I'm stoked to be here.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, I mean, like I was telling you both, and by the time people hear this, the split will be out. But I've got a chance to hear it. It is absolutely amazing. Enemy You, I like fairly know them. I know who they are, know a few songs. And I feel like after listening to this, I got to go like further into the catalog. Like you definitely, it makes me need to jump further in. So, I mean, like, I guess to like start off, where does this idea begin? Like, whose idea was it? Do a split. You guys you cover Enemy You end up like switching bands and everything. Like, where I love the idea, I love the concept, but like, where does it start? Where does that all begin?
So it kind of started through a text exchange. I think it was Chris texted me saying, "Are you playing Pouzza?" And I was like, "Yeah." "Are you playing Pouzza?" And then it was like, "Oh, y'all should cover Enemy You and let me sing." And then it was like, "We should record that." And then that became, well, what if Chris sang with Cluttered as his backing band? And then we were like, okay, well, what if we do 2 songs each? And it became this whole, like, I believe Fab, like the bass player and talk show host, said it really eloquently. It was like, conceptualized in February, recorded in March, mixed in April, released in May. Like, very like,
holy shit.
Yeah.
It's the quickest that our band has ever done anything. Usually if we come up with an idea, we're like, yeah, we should do some kind of split. And then 6 months later, we'll be like, yeah, maybe we'll get around to recording some songs for that. And then 6 months after that, yeah, we recorded these songs, let's mix them. And this was like 2 weeks later, we knew the songs and we were trying to figure out how we were going to record them. And then suddenly, hey, we got 4 songs done.
Yeah, like insane. Cluttered works really quick. We're very like, let's do the thing, let's go. And so it kind of worked out really well. It was just like, I think the day that Chris was like, these are the 2 songs I want to do, I think I like had guitar tracks done.
Yeah.
And then like when they sent me like the recording, like the bed tracks for the talk show host stuff, then I just like jumped on it and did my vocals right away. And then like Becca and Sean also did vocals on all of the songs. So like that took like another week or whatever. And it was very quick. It was very, it felt painless to me. I hope it felt painless to Chris and the rest of talk show hosts.
I mean, it sounds like it's Cluttered. It is to your credit that it got done so fast by the sounds of it. It is Cluttered is the reason this got done so in such a timely manner, we should say.
Yeah. Well, we had originally intended to just do another EP while we're working on a full length. And then it was like, this is more fun. We get to do a thing with our friends. Like, let's do this thing and nod to a band that like some folks know, but not a lot of folks know, and are genuinely a very good band. So it was like, is pretty sick to like actually have it all like pulled together.
Going into this, I mean, I want to ask you both, like, when you go into cover specifically on this split, do you want to stay to like the original Enemy You songs? Do you want to put your own twist on them? Like, going in, what was kind of the thought for doing these? Did you want to stick to the original, or did you want to kind of put your own spin on them?
I mean, for our side, it was just kind of like, what if we just played these faster? Like just like sped them up a little bit. Like we didn't really like rearrange the structure or anything for the ones that Cluttered did the backing track for, but it was like, they're a little bit quicker. They're a little bit more in line with like what Cluttered does. But like, I feel like Chris and talk show hosts did a really good job of like reimagining the songs a little bit. So that was really cool. Like it was nice to sing on.
We went pretty straightforward with the first one with 72 hours. Because that song is like 2 minutes. It's a straight ahead punk song. We thought about like, what could we do here? But the power of the song didn't really need to be touched. And then it was with Where No One Knows My Name, where we did a straight cover of it. But for us, we're not great at holding. This is not a knock against the song, because the song is kind of, the original song is, the dynamics are there. It starts and then it kind of stays in one spot throughout it, which Enemy You could pull off because Davy Jones is a great singer. They're all super tight musicians and they had that confidence, just be like, we're going for it. And the song blasts through and then it's done. For us, we did it that way. And it was like, we just kind of didn't feel super comfortable in it. And then it was one day, I was writing out the lyrics just so I could sing along in practice to make sure we were hitting all the right structures. And as I was looking at the lyrics more closely, I realized the context of the song and the kind of heavy meaning behind the lyrics, and that informed a new way to approach the song. And so we slowed it down a bunch. We kind of gave it more of a 90s alt grunge beat to it, and then it kind of just, we figured it out from there.
And added a sick guitar solo.
Oh yeah, my first time I have ever written a proper guitar solo, and nice. Like I stayed up for like 14 hours straight. Like, okay, I got to do something killer. That's been my pandemic hobby, is trying to get better at guitar. So that was like the first test of it. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of that one.
You've been riffing. That's what you've been doing over COVID. You've been riffing.
I bought all of the Propaganda guitar tab books, and I've been.
Oh, there you go. There you go. What else do you need?
Yeah, exactly.
Going into this, I mean, did you both kind of know the Enemy You songs you wanted to cover? Were there any that you were thinking about that didn't make the ended up not making, because obviously there's only 4 songs on it. Were there any that like didn't make it that you were thinking about covering or really wanted to cover?
So the Lillingtons did an Enemy You cover album like last year or the year before.
I missed that.
It's pretty dope. And I, in my head, was like, I'm not going to pick songs that they did. And to my chagrin, the first song I picked was one that they did. And so I was like, okay, but the other one I had thought about was a song called Hopes and Dreams. Because I had toyed around with the idea of doing it like as a solo song at one point a couple years ago. Nice. So I was just like, maybe we could do that. And then they also covered Hopes and Dreams. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to do 2 of the songs that they did. So my choices were pretty set. I almost picked like Stories Never Told. I almost picked that song too. Like I was kind of like flip-floppy on some stuff. It would have been really funny to have done the Short Music for Short People song, like Bedroom Windows. Like that would have been really funny. Be like, yeah, there's a 30-second song on it.
Here you go.
I think it was that song that had me thinking about Enemy You, because I had just done a podcast back in January where we talked about short music, and I forgot to mention that track while we were on the podcast, and I was kicking myself because it's such a great song.
It's so,
like perfectly encapsulates punk rock in 1999. And so I was learning that on the acoustic, and I was thinking about Enemy You. I don't remember if that was completely independent of Matty bringing up Enemy You in that conversation, but it was just like all of a sudden, oh yeah, this makes total sense.
So what happened was I listened to the podcast and I made some obnoxious tweet that was like, Enemy You and Dillinger Four are the best songs on that comp. Listen to more Enemy You. I made some like obnoxious tweet about it. And then it just got the ball rolling, being like, oh, we both like this like kind of obscure, like this band that like resonated really hard for me. Like when I found them, which was like probably 2006, like I knew about the Short Music comp and I knew them from that, but like discovering the other albums and stuff kind of came around then. And I was just like, oh, this band rules. Like they capture these feelings of like alienation and loss and like the dynamic between people who are, you know, different, but trying to like to coexist and like figure out how to live. They did a really good job of that, and that resonated super strongly with me. So I was just like, you know, let's cover this band. Like it would be cool if we were like, yeah, we're gonna cover like Super Choke or The Replacements or something, like a cool band. But it's way more fun to do something where it's just like, as you mentioned, like we did this split and now folks are going to get to hear it, and then like maybe it's going to make them listen to the back catalog or like go through it. Like I've had a couple people who have heard it who have been like, I can't believe I didn't know about this band. And that's really, really nice. It's really cool to shine light on like my influences and Chris's influences, and like it's cool to like shed light on your influences when they're not just like cut and dry. Like I only listen to the Ramones and the Buzzcocks. Like it's cool to be like, I like this band and I like this band, and like to kind of build on that.
Oh, totally. I mean, also like I love doing that where it's great to discover new music, but it's also great to discover music that's been out for like decades that you just didn't know about. Like there's nothing better than finding a band who existed long ago or whatever and has this whole catalog for you to jump through that you had no clue about. It's like, oh my God, like there's all these albums, EPs, like all this shit to find. Like that's the greatest. Like I love going back and finding the band. So I think that's awesome doing a split like this, because you have a band where like I see them get mentioned from time to time. Obviously they're not like a huge band or anything like that, but enough where like I like it because it's people who I think others respect, like musicians and stuff that people respect, like in punk and stuff, who bring them up, who then you kind of go, oh, I should go check them out. Like I forgot it, honestly, like that Short Music for Short People, I totally forgot they were on that. So that would have been my intro to them, because I was thinking for a while it was they're on that Red Scare Industries comp in like 2015. And at first I thought, I didn't think that was like the first time I heard them, but now I'm thinking, and no, it was definitely Short Music for Short People. For sure, so that was my intro.
Yeah, so they were on their first release was on Panic Button Records, which was a subsidiary of Lookout. They were on a 4-way split called Four on the Floor, and it was 4 bands doing 4 songs each. So they were on that, and then I think it was Panic Button or Lookout did the first album, and then Red Scare did the second one, and then they reissued the first one. Like Red Scare reissued the first one. And then they got signed to Nitro and did a record that never like was officially released. It got kind of leaked as like an iTunes exclusive with like artwork that was literally just like a black square that just said Enemy U Fade Away. And it was kind of at that time when like bands like the Donna switched from like being like a rad garage rock band to being more of like a Kiss inspired like riff rock band. So they have like a couple jams on that album that are like very much in that vein, where it's just like, why did you sway from the formula? Like it's like a 12-song album with 4 bonus tracks, and then like there's 1 or 2 songs on it where you're just like, yeah, this sounds like Thin Lizzy. That's really weird.
Oh my God. I might have to go check this out.
Yeah, it's only on YouTube. I think the song that I'm referring to is called Bitchin'. Which is just like cringy, like kind of cringy, but like if you think about the time when it was recorded, like it was totally acceptable, but it just like it doesn't seem like it's in the spirit of the rest of the material of the band.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I mean, even like, again, like for what I know of Enemy U, none of that, even just like referencing Thin Lizzy when referencing Enemy U is not something I thought would happen during this. So yeah, out of curiosity, I have to go hear this.
What's that really awful Office Space joke? I celebrate their whole catalog.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
I celebrate their whole catalog, like,
except for that one album on YouTube that you can only hear on YouTube.
Yeah, it's like, it's fine. There are some rad songs on it, but Bitchin' is not my personal favorite. I did not choose to cover Bitchin'.
Yeah, I noticed you didn't bring that up when I asked, were there any Enemy U songs that didn't make this split that you wanted on there? I noticed you didn't bring that one up.
No, it's too much of a departure for me. But the rest of it is rad. The rest of the material is rad. Like, just like, I'm not really sure like the age that like David Jones was when he wrote a lot of those songs, but they seem like very wise for like whatever age it would have been. And in the era of like kind of obnoxious pop punk bands, they were very like heart on sleeve, like these are the things I'm feeling, this is the way that I want to like navigate the world and like bring my art in the world. And that's really rad and really important. And so like kind of shedding some light on that is really cool.
Oh, for sure. And like the lyrics too, like you really do kind of get this, like you really start seeing certain people have like almost a signature. And he really kind of did, like lyrically, you can kind of tell like that he wrote those. So you're like, you start hearing enough NMU songs and you realize who's writing them. Like he really has his own like uniqueness to him.
Somehow both songs I picked have clock analogies, which is something that like I'm drawn to in my own writing, but I didn't realize that both 72 Hours and Where No One Knows My Name refer to the idea of time passing. And I was just like, why did I do that?
In the back of your head, you probably knew it. You just didn't realize it.
Yeah, it's totally subconsciously.
But for this split, like recording it was like, did both bands record together? Were they recorded in the same studio? How was this split recorded?
We Talk Show Host, we just did ours in the jam space. We went in on the weekend, brought a bunch of microphones, and just knocked it out. Knocked out the drums, and I think most of the guitars on the Saturday, and then Sunday was the rest of the guitars, and trying to force my way through vocals in the back half of Sunday. And I didn't realize at the time that I had COVID.
Oh no.
Yeah. The next morning, my throat was like killing me. And I thought it was just because I was overdoing it the day before. And then no, it turned out that
oh, yikes.
With COVID. I didn't infect my bandmates, luckily, but
wow. Yeah. I'm in Ottawa for a little bit, and I'm just bouncing back and forth between Ottawa and Halifax. So I did like guitars and some of the instrumentation and my vocals here. The rest of Cluttered did our stuff in Halifax, and then like it was just kind of like this mismatch and this interprovincial thing where we were just like crossing like here's your songs and just like crossing the streams a whole bunch to make it all work. I forgot about the COVID thing until you just mentioned it, because you were just like, songs are done, I think I got COVID, and I was like, oh, that fucking sucks, I'm sorry.
Hey, by the way. Oh wow. So okay, so they were all, and I forget that you're in Toronto and you're in Halifax. Have either bands, I mean, have you crossed paths like playing at all? Have either bands played shows together?
Yeah. Well, we kind of made internet friends, like, because they released Mid-Century Modern, like the Talk Show Host full length, the same day that Cluttered released an EP, and we kind of made internet friends. And then Cluttered went on tour in November, and it was just like, kind of the point of the tour was like, let's play some shows with Talk Show Hosts. Like that was kind of the like, we want to go to Ontario and we want to like meet these people and like hang out and like kind of build on this like foundation of like, oh, this band is rad, let's maybe do something together. And it just so happened that we got along really well. It was very much like we played Toronto and Montreal together, and Montreal was like a fine show and was like had its ups and downs, and then Toronto was a cool show, and it was like the release show for the record that Talk Show hosted. And then we all went out for food afterwards, and we're just like chatting and hanging out, and I'm just like, oh, we're all on the same page about this shit. Like yeah. it felt really, because like you meet like obviously in like the before times and like prior to us living in a pandemic, you meet a lot of bands kind of in passing, or you hear of bands or whatever, but you never like make a connection where you're just like, oh, we're pals, like, or like you just kind of know of people or whatever. And it was really nice to be like, oh, you can still make those connections with people, even though we're living in like this weird pandemic world where people get mad when you ask them to wear masks at shows.
No, that is nice. And yeah, you're right. Like, I feel like I'm sure in bands, you do a lot of that where like, you know, you maybe know someone, but you're not getting to know. It's not like every band you play with, you become best friends or even get the chance to really know each other all that well. Also, you're going kind of city to city every night too. You don't have a whole lot of time to like hang out, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like it's really conscious to me. I don't know about Chris and the rest of talk shows, but it felt like it was very like intentional, that it was like, yeah, let's go like hang out, let's go do something. Like,
yeah, for sure. I think in the now, oh my God, 7 years that talk show host has been a band, I think I've given my cell number to 2 people that I've met playing, and Matty's one of them.
Wow.
Go me.
Talk show host has been around 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow. I was gonna ask how long the band. I've kind of become. I discovered both your bands within this year, and I love both of them. But I did not realize talk show host had been around that long.
Yeah, so we started 2015, and then we released a couple EPs in 2016, another one in 2017, and then the album was supposed to come out 2020, but
so that was recorded for a while before it came out.
Yeah, that was recorded we demoed that in April of 2019, and then recorded it in the fall, and then sat on it for a year and a half. Yeah.
Is that weird? I mean, I've talked to, obviously during this, you get a lot of that. I talked to a lot of people. It's like, oh, we're talking about this new record. And they're like, yeah, but I like recorded it 2 years ago kind of thing. Like, yeah. Was that odd sitting on it? You know what I mean? Is that weird at all?
It's bonkers because we wrote most of that in like 2018. So we started writing at the end of 2017 because I was like, we've done a bunch of EPs and people like EPs, but I think if we do an album, then maybe someone will pay attention. So let's spend the next year writing, and then it took way longer than we thought it was going to. But yeah, the bulk of that stuff came out of 2018. So as of now, it's like those songs are old, but most people only heard them a year ago.
And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
still very topical. Like,
oh, yeah.
Like you managed to be like, oh, we were like in a mood at that point and like hit on it.
Yeah.
Like it's still like applicable like several years later, which is like very impressive. You're just like, oh, as you said, depressing.
Yeah.
It is a really great point, because those songs sound like they were written like within a year or so. Like you could have told me you wrote it like, 3 or 4 months before the record came out. I would have believed you.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And actually that kind of ties back into the split. One of the songs that I sang, Something New, that one resonated with me, the Enemy You song, because those lyrics don't sound almost 2 decades old. It's the same thing about not wanting to spend your life worrying about technology and what other people think. And it's like, yeah, that is very relevant to my life in 2022, as much as it was to him back in, I think that was 2004. So, yeah.
I forget how old, because again, like, I mean, discovering Enemy You so far down the road, I forget how long ago it was that they were around. They were talking about some of these songs are like 20. I mean, and again, short music for short people didn't come out yesterday. That came out what, like 99 or something?
99. And like, I think it was like Where No One Knows My Name came out in 2001, and Stories Never Told came out in 2004, 2005. So like,
I mean, how long Panic Button and Lookout Records haven't existed in how long now either? I mean, you think about and Nitro. I don't think any of their record labels besides Red Scare are even active anymore.
No, I mean, like, Lookout collapsed when Green Day took their albums. Green Day and Op Ivy were like, you're not paying us royalties, and they took their albums away, and then the whole thing closed. And I think that was probably a decade ago now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think he's easily. And now it's hard to find some of that stuff.
Really hard. I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff that you can like kind of just let go away that somehow find like new homes. Like, don't put out a new Queers record. Like that's just like, no one's asking me for my opinion on like how to run your record label, but like I feel like that's a bad look. In like 2022 being like, yeah, we're gonna reissue like, Beyond the Valley by the Queers, and you're like, why are you doing that? I don't understand. But then, like, as you said, there's really rad bands that just like,
there's some great ones.
It's hard to find stuff, and then that's kind of the double-edged sword of like streaming services and the way that the internet works is like artists don't get compensated, but you can find a lot of things, and you can find
like
a lot
anything.
of things that are just like out of print or whatever. Like there's, and like it's almost weird when you can't find a band that Chris and I have talked about is this Swedish band called Mass Hysteria. And Mass Hysteria are awesome, but you can only find like a single that they did on streaming services. But like they have like 2 full lengths that are awesome and like so good. And you can only like listen to them online on YouTube. Like they're not even on Bandcamp. They like basically don't exist. Like it's really strange.
I'm surprised the Bandcamp thing hasn't caught on more with like really those old obscure bands who had like 1 7-inch or like one like random full length that came out 20 something years ago and has been out of print 20 years. I'm kind of surprised more of them don't just kind of come out of the woodwork and throw them on Bandcamp or something like that. Like that honestly surprises me.
I imagine at some point there was probably like the label at the time was like, we handle full like digital distribution or something, or they like signed something that basically like took away their rights to like redistribute it. Not that anyone would care because it's punk music. Like, why would you get hung up on that? But I imagine that there's probably a little bit of that. But yeah, like just being like, you know, there are rad bands that have things reissued 40 years later. Like there's a band from France called The Dogs, and they had like a single and then like released like a compilation of all of the songs they never really released, and it's really sweet. But
nice.
Like it's just like trying to find kind of the diamonds through the shit. Like
that happens. That definitely happens. Yeah, and that's a good point about that too, because like as much as you want to get that out there, if they're in the back of your head, you're like, am I going to get sued for like putting up this thing I did when I was like 23 and I put it on Bandcamp? And like I'm going to get sued or something for this. I can see where it's like, yeah, not worth the issue.
It would be surprising if somebody got sued, because I imagine it would be like, if you have the money for a lawyer to sue somebody and you're suing somebody over a punk record, then you're just a total asshole.
I mean, it's not impossible, though. I mean,
no, it's not.
Are we saying that's not impossible?
That's the worst part of things. We live in a timeline where Elon Musk got so mad that his ex married or dating a trans woman that he decided to buy Twitter. So we live in the worst timeline. So like,
punk bands getting sued's next. That's I don't want to see it. I'm not wishing that, but yeah, let's hope that doesn't become the next trend here.
Yeah.
For this split, I mean, any plans to do a record release show at all? I know there's probably not one now, but I mean, even down the road, any plans to like do this live together?
I think Pouzza is the de facto release party.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's not a bad party.
Yeah.
No. That's kind of the hope. Cluttered is going to be prepared. So like we'll be ready to go, and I'm sure talk show hosts will also be ready to go. And even if it's something as simple as like me jumping on stage with talk show host and doing the songs, and like Chris jumping on stage, like Chris and Sean jumping on stage with us and doing the songs, like we'll make something work. And like I'm sure maybe in the fall we can like figure something out. But like it was done with the intention that like, oh, it would be really nice to have something for Pouzza, because the last thing that we had both put out was on the same day a year ago. And like, you know, attention spans are not particularly long, and it's really challenging to find new ways to get people to revisit songs they've already heard. So like Cluttered is still a really new band, but at the same time, like we've had 2 EPs out for a while, and then, you know, people will only go back to those songs so much before you have to put out something new, and then you get a little bit more of an audience, and then it kind of like expands on that. And I imagine there are folks who have like, I mean, like if they follow any of our social media, we're basically just talking to each other all the time, like both bands. But if, you know, there are folks who have listened to Cluttered and haven't listened to talk show hosts, then like those folks will be like converted fans, and vice versa. Like I imagine there'll be a little bit of that. And it also doesn't hurt that like we're covering a band that's just obscure enough for like nerds like ourselves to be like, oh, this is cool. Like, I've never heard these bands before. And then they can trace back and be like, I really like this song, or I really like this song, or maybe they'll hate it. Maybe the only thing they'll like is the covers that we did, and then we'll just be cover bands for the rest of our lives. But I hope that that's not the case.
Yeah.
Do you think you when we were talking earlier, like doing the Enemy U songs and either kind of putting your own touch or kind of sticking to the original? I know you were saying you kind of felt like you just made them a little faster, kind of made them like Cluttered songs. Could you see these kind of throwing them in the set, like just in the future? Because by the sounds of it, like you said, and really, I guess listening to them, you could throw those in the set with Cluttered songs, and it would flow great. You know what I mean? Like in a set, these covers would work well with originals.
Yeah, I mean, like anytime Chris is around and wants to do it, like we would be open to it. Like it would just be like, you want to sing the song? Like, come do it. I think there's something to like maintaining the idea that like it is a split where we switch the singers, and it is kind of a collaboration, and it is like two bands that are friends that are like doing this DIY thing ourselves. There's something to that, and like keeping the spirit of that alive. So like we definitely could. Cluttered has a plethora of material on the way, so like it'll be like we'll learn them. They'll be in our back pocket whenever it happens. But like if the people aren't around, then like we probably will just save that to make it a special occasion, like make the thing work. At least that's my perspective on it. I don't know if Chris has a different perspective on that.
Oh yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, live, our kind of philosophy with covers is, unless lots of people know them, there's not a whole lot of reason for us to do them. Like, we'll bust out a Green Day cover every once in a while because we know that that's going to get people excited at the end of the set or whatever. If we bust into an Enemy U song, most of the people we play to, like around the GTA, they're not going to know that it's an Enemy U song. So we may as well just play our own stuff.
That makes that does make sense. I also gotta ask you, Chris, while we're talking about covers here, because you also I guess the tribute thing's not out yet, but like you just premiered a few days ago that cover of Chips Ahoy for that Vagrant Records.
I'm going to interrupt and applaud for that because that cover rules.
That's what I'm about. Good. That's what we're doing right now. We're showering you with compliments because I mean, you picked one of my favorite Hold Steady songs, and I think the band. Now that one, I feel like you definitely put your own twist on it. Like that's definitely talk show ho twist to it. I got to ask you because, I mean, not only did you guys do a good job like covering it, the Hold Steady's not the easiest band to cover, and also Craig Finn specifically, and you're the one singing it. So I got to ask you, like, I mean, was that a hard one to get the Craig Finn down? Was that? I assume vocals are the hardest thing on that song to get down.
Yeah, that was the first thing was trying to get the feel right because we knew we couldn't just record it straight because we are a completely different band than the Hold Steady. So it took us a few days to figure out just the feel of the song. But yeah, when it came time to do the vocals, first of all, I had to re-record all of the guitars because I realized that we recorded it in the wrong key and I just couldn't sing it at all. And then it was like a whole weekend. I set up a recording booth in my closet in my bedroom, and that was like one of the most painful vocal recording sessions of my entire life, trying to get that performance right. And I still can't even really, I never can listen to myself, but that one in particular, I hear the first 10 seconds and I'm like, nope, I can't do it.
It sounds sick. You never know you did it in your bedroom, in your closet. I love the Hold Steady. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, I would love to cover like Sequestered in Memphis. And it's like, how would you do the piano line in that song? Yeah. Like how would you translate that? And y'all did a fucking A+ job on that. Like, very good.
Thank you.
I mean, when you started playing it again, you put so much of like, it goes through the talk show host filter and comes out like on your own. Like the first couple times when you're playing it, was the band just trying to, I guess, again, you're a 3-piece versus the Hold Steady with like 3 guitars and that piano and everything. Were you just playing it like beginning, just trying to play it straight as you're going? You're throwing your own stuff on top of it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you progress into that song into then what we hear? You know what I mean?
I don't remember exactly. I remember us having like we start off playing it straight just to get the structure down and everything. And I remember we just weren't feeling it. We kind of had it worked out, and we were all just kind of frustrated at the end of one session. And then I just started playing the riff, because the actual riff is like da da da, and I was just like, I'm just going to play it fast and straight. And then Sean started in with the beat, and we were like, okay, that's where we go from there. And then it just kind of, once you get that spark, it just snowballs. And then it was like an hour later, we had it hashed out. Yeah.
Same, I mean, kind of same with the Enemy U thing. Did you have any other Hold Steady songs you're thinking of? Or even on that, I mean, any other like Vagrant bands that were kind of in the mix?
We had two, so it was tough because there was already so many bands confirmed for the comp, and like one of my all-time favorite bands is Alkaline Trio, and that was like off the table.
I was gonna ask if Alkaline was in the contention of those songs, because like if we had been asked to do a Vagrant song, it would have probably been Alkaline Trio.
Oh,
like
fuck yeah.
Like that. What
song do you think you'd cover?
I mean, what are the records on Vagrant? Good Morning and From Here to Infirmary.
Yeah, those are yeah, you're right. I think those are the only two.
Okay, so I'm going to look up real quick a track list on that, because there's definitely jam on those records that I would love to cover, but that's not.
I feel like covering all of Infirmary would be pretty fun. I just think covering the entire Alkaline Trio record would rule.
Armageddon. Armageddon would my
yes
down.
Yeah. I love it. It's one of the best Alkaline Trio songs. Yeah. That would be a fun live one. That one you'd have to throw in the set. That'd be too fun not to play live.
Yeah.
And speed that shit up too. Make it even faster, like with the Enemy U's. Make that even faster.
Yeah, that would be a lot. Poor
just
Becca.
Be a lot of sound. It would probably just be a whole lot of sound coming from the stage. Yeah, if you sped that up anymore.
Yeah.
But again, great job on that Hold Steady cover. Again, Hold Steady ain't easy to cover. That's Craig Finn does not. That's not one to. I just can't imagine doing that. So props to you.
Thank you.
Getting off covers. I mean, for both of you. I mean, Matty, you're just talking about that Cluttered will have some new stuff coming out soon. I mean, is there anything announced or anything like in the near future people should be on the lookout for, or is that later down the road?
Cluttered have a full-length demoed. We're in the process of finishing it. It's going to be tentatively called High Lows, and we're kind of just like, pardon me?
Is that the one I've heard?
That's the one you've heard, but we took a song off of it and added 2 new songs to it. So I'll pass that along. But I write a lot. I like perform in a bunch of bands and perform as a solo artist and stuff. So I'm writing pretty constantly. So we have that one that we're demoing, and I wrote a second Cluttered full length since I've been like visiting Ottawa. So we're gonna try and record the first Cluttered album like properly, and then demo the second record almost concurrently.
Oh shit! It's 2 records basically at once.
Yeah, because like as Chris was saying, like, you know, things take a while. Like, you know, mid-century modern took 1.5 years extra on top of everything. And like, if we were to find a label that would want to do vinyl, like you have to deal with pressing plants and you have to deal with all of that stuff. And I'm very like, I get really antsy sitting on things. So if we're working on a second record and maybe a new EP, like in the interim, then I don't feel so bad waiting on a first record to come out, because there's like still things kind of in the pipeline. Like I have another band called Future Girls. We don't really play, but like we recorded an album and put it out on the 6th of May. So last Friday.
Oh, just a few days ago.
Yeah. And it's like, it took a while. Like that was recorded during the first break of things in the pandemic. And I had never expected to record another record with that band. And then we just did it and made it all kind of work and then like put it out. And having like projects like that make it easier to wait for the other thing. But then what I did is I shot myself in the foot and I put out 3 releases in May. So I had 2 releases come out on the 6th, and then we have this coming out on the 13th. So it's just been a lot of like me staring into the Instagram void, trying to get people to pay attention to the things that I'm doing. So it's very much like a cry for attention.
Wow, you were busy. Are you, I mean, you probably just answered it, but are you someone who's just constantly writing? Like some people, I feel like are always writing songs, and some people have like, I don't know, a burst of inspiration for a month or two. You write a ton and just not write again for a while. It sounds like you write nonstop.
I write nonstop. If I don't write something new every like 3 or 4 days, it's like I'm in a slump. And I took like I finished that second Cluttered record, and I'm really happy with the songs, and we haven't put drums on it yet, but I'm really like, that's kind of our process, is like I'll flesh the songs out and then Dylan will put drums on them, and then we kind of co-produce it together and pull it all together. And I like, for the first Cluttered full length, I had written something like 24 songs for it. And it's going to be an 11-song album. So like there were a couple leftovers, and then I wrote a bunch of new material, and then it was just like I was like, I'm going to give myself a break. I'm going to take a breather. And then the last, it's weird what inspires you. There's a festival in Ottawa in this summer called Side by Side Weekend, and Cluttered are playing it, but there's also friends of ours from Ottawa called John Creedon and the Flying Hellfish, and they're performing, and I'm going to fill in on guitar for them. And so I was learning all of John's songs, and I was just like, it just like inspiration struck, and I wrote 2 new Cluttered songs that I'm like in the process of demoing, and I'm just like, oh cool, I'm out of my slump. Like I gave myself a little bit of time, and now I'm just like back at it, because I don't know how to stop.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
No, and I've said this before, like I write to process my feelings a lot of the time. Like I have a lot of big feelings. It's a thing. And so I write to process, and because I write to process, and if things are stressful or things are going on in my life, then it's just like a constant like outpouring of material, like to the point where like it's almost detrimental. Like you lose songs in, like you're like, this song is rad, and then you kind of like lose it in the stream of being like,
there's just so many.
Yeah, here's 12 songs, and it's just like, oh, we lost a good one because you've fucking sent like a bajillion songs all the time. Like
yeah, I can't. It's so funny to like see the spectrum, because sometimes you talk to people and it's like, yeah, I wish I wrote all the time, right? I wish I could write. It's like, I just got it. That's you.
I haven't finished a song since 2019.
I mean, Matty, full credit to you. It sounds like you're the reason this split came out. So, I mean, again, I know I said it earlier, but the split probably would not have came out as fast. It doesn't sound like.
I truly believe in like the capabilities of like my band and my friends and like talk show host and like, again, my friends. And so just being like, no, we can do this. Like, who gives a shit? Like, we'll finish it in 3 months. It'll be great. And then it's just like, it wasn't even 3 months. Like we had everything tracked within like 4 weeks after having the initial conversation. Like I was going to go to Toronto to do my vocals in the studio or in the jam space that they did the instruments. I was going to go to Toronto that weekend and just do it all so like I could hang out and stuff, and it just didn't time out. But like I think considering how remotely we did everything, and like, you know, still navigating like a really tumultuous, volatile world with a virus that's coming after all of us, we did a really good job. I think we did a really good job.
I think so.
I don't think it sounds like 3 different provinces in there.
No.
It barely sounds like 2 bands.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just like, it's wild. Cause like when I listened back to it, I listened to it before the interview just cause it had been a couple weeks. And in like the way that it's mastered and put together, and like, shout out to Will Killingsworth, shout out to Dylan who mixed our side, and Oliver. Is that who mixed your side? Olive?
Yeah.
Like those folks killed it, and then it all came together, and it's just like, wow, this sounds like 2 fully immersed bands. Like you can tell the differences, but like when you're listening to it all the way through, there's a uniformity and it sounds really cool. And like, it's kind of a trip because like when I was trying to figure out how to do like the digital side of things and like to get the distribution and to get it online and stuff, it was just like, this needs to go on both of our Spotify's. This needs to go on both of our Apple Musics, because you can't just be like, this is a Cluttered cover, or this is Cluttered covering Enemy U, or this is Talk Shows covering Enemy U. It's like, no, it's both bands covering Enemy U. So like it's got to be intertwined. And so now we're linked forever. So this is the way that history will remember our bands.
This is how it'll all be remembered.
Yeah.
We're going to split those mechanical royalties until we retire.
Hell yeah. Oh, just like give us just a crumb of SoCan money. Just a crumb.
I hope this split makes both bands just filthy rich.
Oh, could you imagine? we wouldn't get mechanical royalties because we didn't write the songs.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. You know what? Enemy U is gonna get really rich off this split. Hey, someone will.
Maybe they'll do like an Enemy U memorial show, and Chris and I will get to like sing songs someday. Maybe that's the cool thing that'll come out of this.
Yeah. Hey, not a bad idea. We were just talking. I mean, you have so much music coming up, Chris. I mean, you just said you haven't written in a while, but I mean, anything coming up? I mean, really, as I asked that, mid-century modern's not that old, but I mean, anything else coming out from a talk show host coming up that we should be on the lookout for?
Nothing super set in stone yet. We're gonna later this year. We're gonna play our first U.S. shows in the fall.
Nice.
So to coincide with that, we're probably going to release a little EP with some stuff that didn't make the album. Then my friend did this amazing string quartet remix of Warmest Condolences.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll send it to you so you can hear it. It's amazing. So I want to do something with that. I got some artwork done for it and everything, but it just there's not really been an opportune moment to put it out there yet. But yeah, he took just my vocal stems and did a whole string quartet version of it. It sounds amazing. Like I teared up when I heard it the first time. So that's what I'm most excited about at this point, because yeah, we haven't finished any new songs in 3 years. And actually the last song that we finished was one that I was like, we need one more song for the album because I think it's not complete yet. We just need one big single, and we did it. And then I was like, when we were figuring out the track list for the album, I was like, I don't like that song. It's not going on the album. Which was the big emergency last minute rewrite. But yeah, no, just so that'll probably come out on the EP in the fall. But yeah,
nice. Sometimes that doesn't, sometimes it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
I was listening through the Cluttered demos, and I was kind of just like, no, I still like this. Like making sure I still am on board with like what I'm talking about in the material and like being stoked. But the two songs that are getting added to the album, one is an anti-cop song, and the other one is just like me ripping off the Gaslight anthem, and I'm totally okay with that. I'm completely and utterly okay with wearing my influences on my sleeve.
When you go back through those songs, I mean, Matty, you're talking about like how much you write. Do you forget some of those when you're going back through? Like, do you ever find those songs and go, holy shit, like I forgot this one existed?
All the time. And specifically with High Lows and the material on that is I can hear how mentally ill I was when I was writing them. Like I hear it in the chord structures. I'm like, why did I do that? Like, it's just like, it's weird. And I was just like, oh yeah, I was severely unwell. Just like I'm writing to process these big feelings, but I'm not doing it so hot. And so I decided to assemble a song that is just like the equivalent of somebody gluing a puzzle together.
That is again, like it's kind of neat because some people can't jump through like that. And you just seem to have like, I can go through my back catalog. Like if I need something, I bet I got a gem back there that I've just kind of forgotten about. He's got gems hidden back there.
There's some songs on the Cluttered record that are like re-recordings of some of my solo material. They just fit they just fit the mold. And so it was like, let's do like full band versions of these songs. And like, I can always go back to that. Well, like I did a solo EP last year called Dysphoria City Limits. And like the title track is like, would be a really cool Cluttered song. So like maybe someday that'll come out in that capacity. But for now, I'm just like, what if I could just keep writing good songs and like, you know, songs that I like. You know, everything is subjective, and whether or not people think they're actually good is up to their discretion. But like, if I'm still stoked on them, then like maybe someone else will be.
Are you, I mean, you sound like you have a shit ton of projects and everything. Like when you write a song, do you kind of know right away what it will be assigned to and where it's going, or does that take a while?
No, like usually from the jump. I started a band since being in Ottawa called Crisis Party. We're going to play our first show in July and like record in a couple weeks.
Holy shit.
I knew immediately that like, I was like, these songs that I'm writing for this band are Crisis Party songs. They sound like it. They don't sound like Cluttered. They sound different. Every time I have another project or something, I usually can like, if there's not a place for it, it means that I need to start a new band to like put it all together.
I'll make this fit somewhere. If it doesn't fit here, I'll make something.
Yeah, exactly. But like Cluttered, I kind of, now I'm getting very refined with it. And I'm sure we'll continue to evolve and like add weirder parts and like try to figure out how to develop that as a band. But like, as far as like the core of something or like the baseline that we work from, it's very much like, here's the song, here's the structure, here's the bass line, please put drums on it, here's the vocal part, and then like we'll add harmonies and we'll build on it from there. And it's just like, it's kind of a refined process because that band formed out of the pandemic. We formed for there was this really cool project called Demo Fest, which a bunch of punks in Montreal put together. And it was to raise money for Solidarity Across Borders, which provided money to migrant workers that didn't qualify for CERB. And so it was just kind of like, oh, we formed out of the pandemic. That's like our workflow. That's how we learned how to work together. And then like, we had never intended it to be a real band. And then a couple people were like, this is really good. You should like think about playing shows. And we're like, okay. And then now we're a real band and we play shows and we get to enjoy the company of ourselves and our friends. And it's great.
That is rad. That is rad. Well, I mean, as we start to close this up, there's a lot of music, and we'll talk in a second, like where to find the split and stuff. But people want to go check out Cluttered, your solo stuff, all your like other stuff. Where do we go find you online? Where can we go grab the music and support you and all that good stuff?
It's usually like whatever the project name.bandcamp.com is the best way. So like mattygrace.bandcamp.com, cluttered.bandcamp.com, futuregirls.bandcamp.com. Everything's mostly on streaming services, but like, you know, why we're here is to talk about the split, and like Cluttered and Talk Show host both, like we both have things on streaming. You can support it on Bandcamp. Like you can find me personally on Instagram at Matty Disgrace, or on Twitter with that. I'm very reachable, and there's like a list of all of the bands that I'm in my profile. Like it's just like that's all it is now.
What's the official number there?
What the official number?
Yeah, I got to know this.
Oh my god. Okay, do you want like, let's say active bands that have practiced in the last year? Let's do that.
Yeah.
Crisis Party, Future Girls, Cluttered, my solo stuff, so that's 4. I had a band in Halifax called Sore Spots. I'm in a band called Weekend Dads. I'm in a band called The Hemingways, so that's 7. There's at least 3 more. So I'm in, whether or not they are full-time commitments, whether they are part-time, I've practiced with at least, like, Becca from Cluttered and I have a project that's on the go, so that would count as 1. Like a dozen. Let's just say a dozen. It's way easier than that, because
just a dozen.
Just a dozen, because I'm really into just like juggling, trying to balance interpersonal relationships in a job and like several jobs at the same time as being like, I just want to do music all the time. Like it's very it's like I'm spinning plates constantly.
I don't think I've spoken to a dozen people in the last 6 months. That's probably it.
There's a lot of overlap in the bands because like Becca is like Becca, who plays bass in Cluttered, like sings on my solo stuff, is like in Future Girls, is my partner in crime when it comes to a lot of things. So it's just like, hey, I got this new idea. You want to do a thing with it? It's like, yeah, I totally want to do a thing with it. And so we just like feed off each other, and then like it just explodes. There's just like so much on the go in my world. But Matty Grace on Instagram, and Matty Grace on Twitter, and Cluttered Band on Twitter, and Cluttered Band on Instagram. Those are probably the easiest ways to reach me.
Nice. Chris, how about you? You talk show host, all that stuff. Where do we find you? Where do we grab the music?
I think all of our stuff would be collected under talkshowhost.ca. We got all our links have weird names.
You have a real website?
Yes.
Okay. See,
it's got a domain and everything. Yeah, it's
nice.
Kind of I don't know how up to date it is, but it should have pretty much everything on there. Like our Bandcamp link, I think, is We Love Talk Show Host at bandcamp.com, because of course we're not the only talk show host, so like all of the obvious links have been taken. So yeah, if you just go to talkshowhost.ca, that should be everything. I mean, like, it took us a year to sort out on Spotify the different talk show hosts that are on there. Right now, if you go to Tidal, there's like 4 different talk show hosts all under one talk show host banner. So,
whoa, yeah. We made a link tree, and I felt really professional, and then I never updated it. Yeah. It's just like, it's like, you could find us. We're like accessible. We're around. And it's just like, no, like, you having like a domain makes things so much easier and makes you seem so much more professional than we are. So I'm a little bit ashamed of myself, but that's okay.
The benefits of having Fab as a bass player, because he's also a digital marketer. So it's like,
true.
Yeah.
I'm just learning. I'm just a baby.
I feel like it's so funny too with websites, because obviously for years it was something I feel like bands had. Then there was a huge stretch of time where it was like, no band don't want to add a website, and now I feel like it's back to it.
Yeah, I love that Dillinger Four's website is still like an Angel Fire or a GeoCities site.
They still have one?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just like, it's like, it's not GeoCities, it's like Angel Fire dot whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the like, oh, I wish in hindsight I would have known that this band was going to exist, because I would have parked that domain. Because I imagine you can't make a new Angel Fire webpage. I imagine that that's not a possibility.
They're probably grandfathered into that one. Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't think Dillinger Four current day made that website.
No, but they still have access to it, and that's sweet. Like that's that fine line of just being like, we care, but like just enough.
Yeah,
that's Dillinger Four, right? I mean, that's Dillinger Four for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, we got Cluttered talk show host. How about the split? Where do we just find the split? Same place that we find both bands. Where can we grab Enemy Us?
Enemy Us is going to be on all streaming services on Friday, May 13th. I got confirmation of that last week, which means I didn't screw it up. It's going to be the right talk show host. Everything is like, I'm very meticulous with doing that. And then I know for sure it's going to be on our Bandcamp. I would imagine it's going to be on the talk show host Bandcamp as well. And it's self-released. It's DIY. So like, there's no like other label like putting it out. But like, you know, if somebody was like, oh, I really like this, I'd love to do a physical copy. Like, yes, please do a tape, do a 7-inch. Like, give us something to sell.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if it was digital only or not, but it is for now.
For now, it's digital only. Yeah. Like, I mean, we probably, if Pouzza was in July or June, we probably could have got tapes made. But like, for how quickly we pulled this all together, the fact that we did that in the time span that we did it is like pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I'd say you did that in quite a timely manner. I would say that all got done pretty. Also, and then we'll go. Are cassettes, are those easier, like a faster turnaround than vinyl?
Significantly.
Okay, and I was wondering when you said that. I was thinking, I bet cassettes are faster turnaround than vinyl.
Yeah, and there's a plant in Canada that's like really good, who I've worked with like I used to run a tape label that like put out my own bands and stuff, and so like I've worked with them for a long time, so like we can get things turned around relatively quickly. But yeah, it's just like the fastest thing is CDs, and it's weird because people are like buying CDs again. Like
it's like websites.
Yeah, it's like websites. People are gonna, buy CDs and be clamoring for like a Tumblr page and just like, where's the Cluttered Angel Fire page? Where's the talk show host GeoCities page? And we just have to disappoint them, and that's okay. I'm fine with disappointing people. It's something I've done my entire life.
We're not Dillinger Four, sorry.
Yeah.
We can't be D4.
Yeah, we can't be D4. I can't write a song like Define Learning Disorder. Like I can't write Versus God. Like
or those song titles, some greatest song titles.
Yeah, some of the greatest song titles that you're like, I was explaining to a friend the other day, I was like, this is a band that I love, and like was going through it, and I was like, lyrically they're incredible, but the song titles don't match anything. Like I think that song on Situation is Comedy, where they have the refrain at the end of like walk away over and over and over again. I'm pretty sure that song is called D4 Putting the F Back in Art.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure that's what that song is called. But like you're like, oh, this is a really profound song, and then that's the title.
We've had this discussion on the show. Like multiple guests, this has come up, the Dillinger Four song title versus, I mean, being some of the like greatest lyricists, like even remove punk even from it, some of the best lyricists. And yeah, the song titles attached to those is just hilarious. The yin and yang of that band.
Oh yeah. And like, that's one of the things I love about that band is like, you take yourself seriously enough. Mm-hmm. You like want to do a good job. You want to put out something that like is meaningful and matters and like will resonate. But at the same time, like you're still just like, we're four friends and we're hanging out, and like, what's funny? File under adult contemporary. Like
farts are jazz to assholes.
Farts are jazz to assholes.
Back to short music.
Yeah. But then like you'll have a really Superpowers and Amy to blend with Machinery, and that song is just entirely about like being working class and like how frustrating that is. And it's just like, that's a really profound like title in a song. But then like you're like, oh, like I wouldn't have thought that. But then you like listen to the lyrics of the song and it all kind of makes sense and lines up. And
I think what's going on here is next year we're going to get the Cluttered talk show host Dillinger Four split. I think that's the next. That might be another hard one to. I feel like they're a hard one to cover. That'd be a tough one to pull.
I've tried to cover D4 before, and it's very challenging. I would be down to try, but I would probably give us more than like 3 weeks to figure it out. Like,
I feel like you're almost better off doing your own twist on a D4 song, because you're not gonna get it like they did. You're just better off, I feel like, just doing how you feel like.
And then we're just kind of ripping off Dave Haas a little bit, because he did that EP,
right.
which that Patty EP where he like
Patty,
which is like great, but like it's just like, I think we got to pick a band that next time we do this, we got to either cover our own songs, and like, or like write our own material, or like pick a band that hasn't been covered before. Cause like we picked Enemy U, and I had completely spaced on the Lillingtons cover album. And then like a bunch of people had like brought up, it's like, oh, Lillingtons did this. And I was like, yeah, they did. Didn't they? I want a copy of that. Like
covering a cover album.
My short-term and long-term memory are not what they used to be.
Well, Matty, Chris, this has been really fun. We're going to play songs off the split now. And I'm totally blanking off track 1.
72 hours.
That's what we're starting with. We're starting with track 1. And if you're listening to the radio show, we'll play the whole damn split. So you'll hear it all. The album will be out by then. But here we go. Enemy You. Well, Enemy You off the Enemy Us split. Here is 72 Hours right here on the Power Chord Hour.